Good afternoon, Scott, Spino, Spicy. What's going on?
Hello, sir. How are we doing today? Oh,
Not too bad. Today was my second day inspecting my first ship.
yeah. It's always fun getting into a new place. Those first few weeks are always quite interesting, I feel like. Everything feels so crazy until, not too bad.
Yeah, it's been several years since I've been on board a ship. So that was a big change yesterday, and a ship I've never been on, class wise.
Well, hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Aaron?
Oh, it's just another wonderful day.
Yes, sir.
Um, you guys brought him up. Awesome. I just got out of the round table, Twitter space. To come jump over here, out of the furnace and into the fire. We got some time. Everyone is kind of jumping in right now, so we'll give it a few minutes like we normally do. But from a news standpoint, wow, 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 what a day. Like, just crazy. I mean, it has been wild. So, let me see. I'm going to send this out.
Aaron, did that space go on? I think I saw it went on for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was on for a minute. And I'm over here sitting at the desk, like trying to do work and listen, and then listening for my name while I'm getting called up and trying to pay attention to everything that's also going on. It was a lot, but it's good stuff. Um, so if you're in here and you're so inclined and enjoy these spaces, go ahead and hit that retweet button, send it out to your friends, get them on here, and we will get started in about 2 minutes. Man, Dexani, we've had a bunch going on. The entire industry has had a bunch going on. That bot report that was dropped by Little Balls. Whew. Yeah, that thing is crazy. We can talk a little bit about that too. I don't know if people want to talk about it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because it's wild.
Yeah, Aaron, I think that would definitely be something to touch on because I was listening yesterday and like I understood some of it and was diving into the report a little bit, but he just had so much information in the 158 pages.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean, I think personally, I think he's a lot of the way there. I think some of his conclusions were a little immature, premature, or not entirely
and he was
perfect. But I definitely think he was missing a few points.
He was onto something.
Yeah, but what he was talking about happening
he was a little
driven by a whole lot of factors. So we are definitely going to get started very, very shortly, and we'll talk about some updates that we've made to the platform and everything that's kind of been changed. Um, we even changed some stuff today already. Got added and whatnot. So pretty cool on that front. And then just kind of some of the metrics and what we're seeing. And I have some weird feedback someone is telling me. Let me put on this. Better?
Way better.
Way better. All right. So note to self, wear AirPods. So it is 5 after. Let me start off with just my quickly Twitter rant. I wanted to start this space today from my iPad. So I downloaded, because there's a Twitter application for iOS on my iPad you can get. You can't start spaces on iPad. You can literally only do it on phones. Very annoying. Papa Elon, please fix that. Please. I would be very, very, very grateful to that. I got a lot of friendly faces in here. It's glad to see you all. Some regulars and some returning folks. That is fantastic. Let's see. Here we go. So, quick updates on the platform. We made a ton of changes to the mobile side. From an analysis and statistics standpoint, we're averaging about 65% mobile. All my Apple users, raise their hands, because you guys are the ones killing it. iOS is definitely our number one users right now, and that probably stems that most of our users are North American, and it is one of the most heavily used for crypto in this continent. So pretty neat little information piece there. So we made a whole bunch of changes there. There's the bar at the top now, so you can see what account you're logged into, and you can see what wallet's connected. This little dual factor just really allows for that next level of safety. So anybody that knows me, you have heard me yell, scream, cuss at scammers and dive heavily down these roads that they take. And one of the ways they do that is they make direct copies of your websites or your platforms and use that with some malicious technology pieces behind it. We won't get into that because I'm not going to teach anybody how to be a scammer. And that's how they lure people in. So when we instituted this login capability where you can create and add your own profile picture and whatnot, or you can log in via your socials. I'll be adding Facebook back. I know, I'm sorry guys, I have to get back to Facebook and get the keys reset up for it. Sorry, but you can add this stuff on there. You can add a burner email, whatever it is, and then you can select a picture, right? And so this lets you know every time that you go on there and you log in, if you see your picture, the PFP, the thing that you chose to be that icon up there, and you see that, you know you're at the real site. That was a heavy part of one of those pieces of safety that I was really trying hard to figure out. How do we do that? And if you've ever been to other sites, Pancake Swap, actually Team Finance, or a few other ones, what you'll sometimes see at the top, it's got a banner. Pink Sale, I think, has one too. It says, make sure you're at this site, right? We'll probably be adding that in the future to try and get ahead of this. But this was a way for us to add that second one. So we now, when you log in from the mobile side, you can now see that at the top right. And then over on the corner, on the other one, you'll see what wallet is connected. Some people asked that when that wallet's connected, they want to be able to take screenshots, share them out, and no one see what wallet's connected. So we went ahead today, and literally an hour and a half ago, we pushed away that if you click right up there on the left-hand corner, you can hide that wallet. So now, share your screenshots, let everyone know, run every token you see through our security scanner, and go ahead and shove that out into the world. We want this to be a safer place to trade. Safer place to trade means more volume, means more people, means more money in our retail pockets. And you guys are the humans that drive the industry, regardless of whatever anyone else thinks. Adoption is driven from the bottom and not from the top. And I know there are a lot of people that would like to disagree with me on that, and they can disagree, but it's hard it just hurts because they're wrong. That's a hard thing. So, in order to continue to drive adoption in the industry, we've got to stay safer and we've got to keep people there. And that's why we built what we built. And if you're looking for some entertainment. Scrolling through the Explorer and the latest tokens, which shows you every single token on chain, is pretty fantastic. People put some of the most ridiculous names on some of these things. Stuff that, I mean, these aren't even tokens that are put up for trade. They're just people just testing things out or playing something, or they just want to have a funny token name. So that's been cracking me up lately. And some extraordinarily inappropriate ones that, regardless of this being censored or uncensored, I would definitely not ever talk about here. Well, we got a request. Maybe. Let's see. Nope. They don't want it on. Probably just a finger bump.
Yeah, they don't want to hang. Yep.
But anyways, that is now up there at the top. We have gone down and moved away from 3 buttons at the bottom to 5 to make it a little easier to get there. Now, when you click that little markets tab at the bottom, it brings you straight up to search. So no more having to pull up the standard, whatever the default token of the week or day is, and then go to search. It just brings you right into search. That seemed to be a thing that people really, really, really wanted. Also, the security scanner on mobile is back on the swap. We got a lot of requests for that. Make it just that much easier to access that piece. And it's really simple. It's got a little button. You click scan, and then this is a decentralized exchange. So there's always 2 tokens in there. So you got 2 tokens at the top. You can click back and forth between the 2 of them and run the scanner. And you can see, just get that real quick warm fuzzy if you're one of those apes aping in real fast because somebody sent you a cool address and they're saying get into this. You can run it really, really fast. You don't have to go through multiple screens or menus. So those were just a few of the updates. We updated the scanner as well, make things a little more clear. There's a few things that are on the scanner are going to be moving up in threat levels because we kind of realized that people don't really understand how dangerous they actually are. One of those things is actually, it's really sad because it's a piece of technology that's written into these things that I really, really love, which is called access controls. Access controls, basically, it allows you to assign various functions in the contract to different addresses. And there's a lot of good reasons for this to exist, especially as you start growing larger as a token or as a company. You may not want to hand over full control of the contract to one entity or one division within the company. So you'll assign different entities or different roles into these places. So a lot of times those are assigned to things like a mint. If your token has a mint function, like say USDT or USDC or one of those, if it has a mint function or a burn function or a blacklist function, you don't necessarily want the same individual departments or whatever to control all of those all at once. So you'll assign those to different places. Now the downside here is that, like firearms, right? Anything good put into the hands of somebody bad can be used maliciously. And so what is often in the meme space considered, they call it a hidden mint. It's essentially access controls. And so what that means is that you can quote unquote renounce the contract. Anybody in here that knows what that is, you understand that what that means is that when you renounce the contract, you are giving up ownership of the contract. And on a standard token, that basically means that the controls or accesses or the ability to change anything, whether that's fees on transfer or taxes, as we call it, blacklists, whatever, is no longer under any control and it's just going to run autonomously forever and ever. That's what generally a renounce means. Now, if you have access controls, you can go and you can renounce the contract, but leave an access control for a quote unquote hidden mint function. And that can be used maliciously to mint a metric ton of tokens. Now, again, though, remember that this can be and used for positives. So just if you're doing your research and you've You've moved past the point of where you've done the technical analysis on the front end on our side. Now you're moving into your due diligence of the team or the project. And then you ask them about that. Make sure whatever they tell you makes sense. Okay, there are reasons to have it. There's staking reasons. There's liquidity pools, and maybe you want to give the access to the mint to another contract that's related to, say, owning an NFT or something. And somebody with an NFT can once a day claim tokens, and it will mint them to them, and then they can use those tokens like quarters, and then burn them, right, to go play the game, right? There's a good example of mint and burn functions having access controls related to other smart contracts. So there are reasons for a lot of these functions that are not malicious.
We had a good example this week, Aaron, when we were tweeting out some stuff and supporting some projects, and someone got upset. And then when we explained it, it's a good tool to use for communities to show that they're really protecting their community and that they've built strong contracts.
Yep. Like if you're a community, and this is a great opportunity for you to grab that security scanner, scan your token, and then go through what those functions are there for, right? An educated community is a better community. An educated group, an educated set of investors, a set of buyers is a better community, and it's better for the industry as a whole. So that's a great opportunity for you if you've done things like built in an anti-bot, right, for your launch. It's a fantastic opportunity for you to go and, this is why these mechanisms exist. This is why you're going to see this. This is why there's a max transfer. This is why there's a max wallet amount. This is why there's a progressive reduced tax added in there. And you can go down there and you can give your community that warm fuzzy that you have put a lot of thought into this and that you didn't just do this willy-nilly. And if you are in a project and you scan this and you go and ask them about it and they don't have good answers for you, well, maybe that's not the team or the project for you to be in. Just saying. But do your DD, right? We can be your first stop, run that technical analysis side, the coding side, check for anything, it runs the background checks automatically on the owner, deployer, liquidity providers, and the top holders to see if they've been related to anything malicious. So keep that out there and keep that eye on that. And then you can go and ask the next questions for your next level of due diligence, which is to make your own opinions on exactly what you want to get into. And that's our goal right now here at Dexani, is to make this a little safer for you, to give you a little bit of a warm fuzzy when you're trading, because we have been there and we know, hey, this is a scary space. And it's not always friendly, and it's not always things that you want to be around. And so while we work hard to build these consumer protections in, we appreciate any feedback. We've gotten some really, really good feedback on things that we can add, things that you want to see that we'll begin implementing. And if you want to see what we're implementing, we also added in our change log, so you can see all of that. We've actually had 2 updates to it today. We just got a second one since I've been on here. Man, these guys are working so hard in the background. They're killing it. So that's kind of our updates from the platform technology side. And now if you're in here and you're wanting to know about your tokens, what's happening with the tokens, are they coming, when are they coming? I told you that we would be working hard this week to get that airdrop up. It looks like it's going to take us just a little bit longer, unfortunately. A couple of the contracts are just a real pain in the butt, and then getting that front end placed on there. But we did manage to get almost, I think, every address pulled, and we're going through and verifying them. There's about 3,200 addresses in there. We're just making sure that across 2 chains and 8 smart contracts that we have all the proper balances for this. And keep an eye on the app itself, because we will be putting the airdrop location that you can go and check your airdrops direct on the app. Just connect your wallet, and then it'll show you what you are entitled to, or what we as we did all of our maths and added up across all of it, what the number was that came up. And we're gonna give you guys some time to do that while you guys are doing that. We're working on our end to get the new token out there, ready to go, and get it all updated across all the proper socials and the metrics, so that we can get the metrics that we need and ensure that when this airdrop goes out, when people start to receive these things, that, well, they're there, and that they see them and they see where they came from and they know they're legit. Because again, focusing on consumer protections means doing this stuff right, doing it methodical, and doing it in a way that stops all of you from, or helps to decrease the number of times that you're going to get scammed. So with that also being said, don't answer your DMs. We added a thing into our Telegram chat because that seems to be where we'd be getting a vast majority of people trying to take advantage of our community. And if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, you can go fuck yourself. And I don't mean that in a nice way. I mean that in the most violent and vicious way possible, because you're a terrible human being. You are hurting retail and you are hurting companies and projects, and you don't deserve to exist any longer. And your genes are nothing more than just a drag on the DNA of humanity. So if you receive a DM from somebody that looks like one of our mods or one of our admins, there's a place direct in the Telegram where you can screenshot, you can put it in there, and you can tag the human that supposedly DM'd you. And we can verify it for you before you go forward any further. So just please be careful out there. Right? The glory of the blockchain is that it's immutable, and you can see everything that happens, and it is transparent. The downside of the blockchain is that it's immutable, and decisions are forever, and actions are forever. So keep that in mind, guys. So we will get that up. I'm hoping that I'll have the list finished up by tonight, or first thing, if I don't have it by tonight, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. And then we'll get a front end up on the app, and you guys will be able to go in there and check, find out what you're going to get, and you can let us know how we screwed it all up. Because, I mean, that's what everyone wants to do, is complain. Nobody wants to tell you when you're doing a good job. So, but I love you guys. I love you all. And across 3,000 addresses and all those different places that we have to pull balances between staking contracts, between the native contracts, between the pre-sales contract, both of those, it's a lot. It's a lot to add up. It's a lot to put into one single solid place, and then make sure that our maths are good, and then make sure also that anybody who was taken advantage of, whose wallet I managed to blacklist before their wallet was drained, or if I managed to blacklist the wallet that their tokens were transferred to before they attempted or sold, that those people over there are not getting an airdrop, because, well, they're terrible humans. And I think you all heard my opinions on that. So we're going through all of that, and I know it's a lot. All right. Questions, comments? Who's coming up? Eric still didn't make it, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, where's Eric at?
I know.
Supposed to be for him.
I know. He wanted to come in, right? Those who don't know, Eric's one of our regular members. He's been around since the beginning, and he has just the voice of an angel. I'm just saying.
Such a radio voice.
He really, really does. He's got a face.
Eric
for
probably
radio.
got lost. Yeah, Eric probably got lost in the interweb.
Oh man, he just posted in the Eric, the bottom left on your phone. Are you listening on a computer? He's actually messaging in the Telegram right now, so this is really, really funny. All right, Eric, are you on a computer? Are you on an iPad? Because if you are, Daddy Elon doesn't like you, and it's not going to let you talk. You got to be on a phone. Oh, you're on a car. Your car has a Twitter app? All right, guys, so you all are listening to us do this. If you're on the app and you're taking a look at the spaces, should be up, and you should be able to see all the users and everything else in there. In the bottom left is a microphone. It says request on there. Please, if you're driving, don't hurt yourself right now. It's not that important. I also don't know what your name is on here. Otherwise, I would just shoot you a request.
I don't see him. I feel like he's the one other at the bottom.
The one other at the bottom. Let's see.
I was thinking.
Oh, that would be really, really funny. Oh, man. You think he's the one other, listeners? Oh, man. He actually just sent
that would be an Eric
he
thing.
just sent a screenshot of his. And sure as can be, he does not have that. Well, Eric,
it's because he's on browser. It's because he's on browser. He's on a browser.
He's
That's
on
why
a browser.
he's not in the app.
Yeah, you got to be in the app, man. Oh, well, I guess we learned. Oh, fantastic. Well, we learned a little bit there, didn't we? So, yep. Eric, we get it, man. Technically challenged. Don't worry. We're here to help you out. We got you. We'll get you up next week, or maybe I'll open one. We'll just call it the Aaron and Eric Space. So, but anyways, it is good having you guys on and having people listening right now. And I love seeing all the regular faces in here. Remember, folks, if you guys have a project that you want to bring on and just talk back and forth, or you want me to ask them about stuff on their contract or what they're doing, like, let's do it. Send them over and we'll chat with them, right? So if you haven't retweeted the space, please do. But, man, so those who don't know, I'm a regular guest on the round table. And yesterday, a gentleman by the name of Little Balls released a pretty damning report about NFT botting. And, 158 pages. 158 on botnets and what he says is a single scam ring has been running out there and has removed what they say is $200 million in liquidity. So, that's just wild. Let's see. I'm just changing the top real quick. Well, I thought I did. We'll see if it changes. If it didn't, there we go. Boom. So, for those who don't know, and you haven't read the report, we'll shoot it over there. I may have it on my Twitter. I think I reposted it, maybe not. I know that I sent it out to my team and some of the other folks in my network to kind of get some other opinions on. I sent it out to some influencers and some marketers to just get some feedback on what their thoughts were, because I knew what mine were initially. Right? So here's what's been accused. Those who don't know what the term rug means, well, you're probably not from the crypto space and in here, right? Anyways, a rug can be defined in many different ways. In this case, the way that a rug is being defined is a project essentially that had no intention of following through with anything they said and was just there to drain and use retail and consumers as exit liquidity. And, well, the reality of the space is with anything new, a new technology and new industries come about, scams come about. We talked about this in previous spaces that a lot of what we're seeing now, what's happening now, is very similar to what we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s when e-commerce started to come around and there was putting credit card numbers or checking accounts and checking numbers into websites. There wasn't a secure way to do that, and people didn't really know, and people were getting scammed left and right. Caused a whole lot of problems in the financial industry over there. And so we're kind of seeing that again, right? Except that this is a little harder because, like we talked about earlier, decisions and actions made on chain are made forever, which is a beautiful thing because it's transparent and it's there. But it's also a terrible thing when stuff like this happens and when people get taken advantage of. So essentially what they were saying is that there's this Twitter botnet, people botting Twitter like NFT whitelist giveaways, right? And so to dive into this, we have to actually take a moment to dive into why this is an important thing, why this is a big deal within the NFT industry and this industry as a whole, right? Because we have such a small market of humans that are in this. Your clout in the industry is directly related to that magical number of followers and retweets and likes, etc., that we have. Right? It's just the natural way of it, right? Like, oh my God, like this guy's a big deal. He's got 100,000 followers, right? I've got 4,500, I think, or something like that. So I'm a little baby fish in there, right? And that gave clout to a project. And with enough of those, you gave this appearance of being very active. And that gave consumers in retail essentially a sense of like, a sense of good, sense of feeling. This project was very, very hyped and very, very exciting, and that people, were also wanting this and creating what essentially was artificial demand for it. And that's just, not wonderful because it was lies. And that's what it really felt like. It all felt like they were lied to, right? And one of the great conversations he always had was, where was retail doing their due diligence? And my kind of take on that is, look, I built a platform designed around consumer protections. Like that's what we built. And it was built because from a technical standpoint, this stuff's really difficult. It's really, really challenging to do. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. Learning this stuff, figuring this stuff out is a challenge. And so these guys were botting all these things. Some of them were botting whitelist spots so they could get the first buys into the NFT. And just like a token launch, right, you're getting in at the lowest price, in theory, because these things operate just ever so slightly differently. Afro, okay, there we go. So we have somebody coming up outside of our norm, but we'll talk with them shortly, right? So they're getting in at this low price, right? And so this guy's accusing them of doing that to drive up hype and then essentially just take the money from retail users and leave. I have a little bit of a hot take on this. And it's an all-around one, just from being in the industry, having experienced some of this stuff, having seen some of this stuff, is that, it's not entirely incorrect, but there's a lot of really legitimate founders out there. A lot of people that really want to build. A lot of people that really want to build projects. Gonza?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute you, Gonza. You got something? What's up, man? Okay. Gonza, you're muted. I don't know if you were. What's up, man? Gonza.
No, he stepped out.
Oh, okay.
No,
My Espanol is not fantastic, so I apologize for that. Anyways, right. So if you were an NFT founder during the NFT craze and whatnot, one of the things that was consistently pushed on you by your community and by everybody else was the need to sell out. Because if you didn't sell out, then your project was dead in the water. And I heard this when we were building Flip. I heard this from everyone, right? Like this was a consistent thing that came across, right? It was part of the reason we didn't end up going Flip because the market was gone, and really Flip did need to mint out because they were game pieces in the game, and it needed that level of interaction. So, but the market was gone at the time, right? But we went out and we did a lot of this research into getting the growth, getting the word out there. And right, while we were starting that process, that basically what was said in the report and what Balls was saying was that, look, if you see a founder or a project, they've got 3 posts and 20,000 followers, or 20,000 likes or something on a post, like it's been botted. And he's not wrong. He's also not right. So what was pushed out was that the first thing that you did was you ran a giveaway somewhere else to get a bunch of followers. That's what you did, right? So you could get that magic number up so you could start getting that organic growth, start getting that organic push. And this is what bootstrapped you to get there. And that was hands down what you did, right? And so for those that don't know, there are these giveaway hosts on Twitter, and you can use them to push or get other people to like and retweet your posts. For those that were around, I used them on a very particular post on my personal Twitter to get some likes and retweets when Coinbase locked me out of my account. So I was locked out of my account for like a day and a half, and they refused to talk to me. They wouldn't give me anything. They kept saying, we'll get back to you, or thanks for submitting a ticket, this, that, and the other. And that's like locking a bank account, right? It's part of the reason that I have this thing where I like to not be on centralized exchanges, right? But this is like one of those instances where I was doing some arbitrage trading and had a substantial amount just sitting there. So I made a real fun little tweet. And then I went to 2 or 3 giveaway hosts and said, hey, can you push this for me? And they said, sure. It'll cost you about $200 for 24 hours to run this thing, and we'll do it. 25,000 retweets. 25,000 retweets, and 4 hours later, my account was unlocked magically. Now, I don't know for sure if it just happened to be there, and that's why, but definitely got their attention. So I know how these things work. And I know that, right? It actually kind of messed up my numbers a little bit because it like shoved because even though I only asked for a like and a retweet, some of these bots that are on there all do. They just have a setup where they like, follow, and do this thing. And I ran up to like 9,000 or 10,000 followers out of like over like a day. Like that's just, it's garbage. It's not good, right? The bots have now since left, thank goodness. And I'm back to my like actual numbers, right? But I know how these things work. But that's what you were told to do when you started one of these things. That's how you jump started your process. And then you would run giveaways, and that's how you would get more followers. That's how you get more people on there. And so here's what I suspect happened. Right, getting away from the malicious projects that we know exist and getting into the ones that weren't malicious, right? They were just trying to get the hype and they were trying to do what they saw was successful with other projects and get there, is that they went out and, spent a lot of time figuring out how to get the marketing, figuring out how to get the humans to get in there, right? And now we're talking about, if you're not in the crypto space and you're listening in, we're talking about raising or selling, anywhere from as low as $500,000 all the way up to between 3 and 10 million in a matter of hours. Right? So this is not an insubstantial amount of money, and it requires a large following and a large amount of hype to get there. So that these founders are following that, and they're looking at what other people are doing. They're reaching out, and somebody's like, "Hey, go talk to these people. Go talk to these people. This is who helped me. This is who helped me." Right? And then they hire these people. They bring them on, and those people do what they were hired to do. But now those people may or may not be malicious. And here's the thing, right? So there's a lot of influencers in this industry. There are some that I suspect are malicious. I don't think most are, though. I think most are just somebody trying to make some money, right? By using their following and the humans that follow them as a way to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. These are marketers. They get paid to do exactly that. I mean, that's their job, is to drive this. So they go and somebody comes to them and says, "Hey, I want you to offer this to your community and your people, these whitelist spots, or even giving away an NFT." And whoever it is says, "Sure, give me an NFT or give me $1,000 or 10,000 or whatever their price is, and I will advertise this out there." Now, one thing in the industry that is not talked about or pushed is that a lot of that stuff isn't disclosed. A lot of us that are in the industry, we know that it happens. And we could even tell you like prices for a lot of stuff. I have price sheets for like so many from different time periods all over. No, I'm not going to post them. Sorry. But anyways, and you would pay them and they would do their job. Right? I mean, that's their job, right? Their job is to advertise for you. And then those things would get botted. Now, did they know they were getting botted? Yes. Did they know the botting was malicious? I don't know. Right? When we talk about botting, there's different forms of botting. There's botting on Twitter, there's botting on Facebook, there's botting on Instagram. And these are all just things to give a false sense of how hyped up a project is, right? By increasing these numbers. And they're pretty easy to spot too, to be very honest. If you start looking, and if you have looked at any sort of way that you can follow social metrics, it's pretty easy to follow when somebody gets a growth rate of 30,000 people when they only had 200 in 3 days. Yeah, that's not organic. That's not organic unless you have like published Donald Trump's memoirs or something. Yeah, like it's just not realistic. So they're relatively easy to kind of spot there. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. It is complex. It does require tools, and it's got to require you actually wanting to do it. And that's kind of a pain. I actually posted on my Twitter, University of Indiana created a tool to determine and rate different accounts on their botness, aka is this person a bot or not. It's really awesome for anybody that doesn't know. I love data, and I love peer-reviewed data, and I love peer-reviewed studies on data and how stuff comes out, and not just conjecture that we end up seeing a lot. So it's a pretty neat little tool. You can actually take your account, put it in there. It'll give you a bot rating to see if you're a bot, where it rates you, and then you can actually go through your followers as well. and find out, what it is. Because if you are at all known in this space or anywhere for anything else, you will end up with bot followers. 100%. It just happens. It's the nature of the beast. But it's a really, really cool tool. So I suspect that there was a lot less single human malicious activity than was put in there, but that these botnets are 100% real and that there were people that were running them. 100%. I think that there were founders that did not know what these things were doing. Didn't know why, didn't know how. What they knew is, I need 100,000 people in my Discord to sell 10,000 NFTs. Because that used to be the industry standard. If you wanted to sell 3, 4, 5,000 NFTs at whatever price, you needed to put a 0 on that, and that's what people needed in your Discord to efficiently and effectively do that. And that's just what we were told. I got told that, right, personally by a bunch of different marketers, a bunch of people that go out, and what they would do is they would aggregate different other Discord communities and NFT communities and different influencers and run these giant campaigns for you, which is cool, right? Like that's so much weight off of a founder, because someone else working and doing that piece while you're working on the project or the company or the startup or whatever you wanted to call it. And so I can't fault any of them for doing that. I can fault them when they had no intentions of ever following through with a project. I can fault them when they didn't do their own due diligence into what it was going to take or require to build something. Right? And I've fallen into that trap of wanting things that are too difficult to build and wanting things that were technically far more challenging to build. I mean, Dexani as a platform was extraordinarily challenging. To do what we do across 6 different blockchains is not easy. There's a whole lot of infrastructure outside of the coding that goes into it. It's part of what took so long. There's a whole lot of things that go into databases and scans, and then there's a whole lot of time and effort that goes into UI and UX design. Like a lot of things that if you've never built before or been a part of, like you just don't know. So there is a level of that level of kind of ignorance that does come into this, and that we can lay a level of blame on some of these founders for, right? Especially if, they didn't take the time to, talk to somebody else, or somebody else told them it was going to be hard and they just ignored it. Right? If they went to somebody else as an advisor or just somebody to help them and they just ignored it, right? Well, okay, yeah, I'll kind of blame you, right? But there's also a level of due diligence that comes on the retail side. We could go and look heavily at Star Atlas over on Solana. Phenomenal game, extraordinary graphics, great things going on there. But this time last year was not a good time to be there. Right? Retail isn't technically knowledgeable oftentimes. They're just not. Not their fault. They're just, nobody's ever told them, and they've never been a part of this stuff. And we're building things that are of this caliber. It takes time. And so these guys were all unhappy that the game wasn't out yet. Okay, well, look, you basically were funding a startup, and it's a game. It's hard. It's really, really hard. It's really challenging. It was a game with that good of graphics. It's doing all of that. Really hard. So when we look at these things, there's a level on the retail side that needs to take this a little bit of this on the chin and say, all right, like the founders are following through, the people that are doing this are following through. It's just taking longer than I thought. And that happens. It does. So,
Yeah, I've got a
yeah, go ahead.
and kind of a pivot, but along the lines of botting. Any industry that is within the buy and sell industry has been plagued with bots. Everything from, we know it's in crypto and we know it's in NFTs. It's even in uh, a buddy of mine is into the shoe market, buying and selling shoes, and the bots are there writing scripts to be able to purchase these high end shoes before anyone else. So is the industry, whether it's the crypto industry or whatnot, are they doing anything to try to fight that problem? And is there anything that you can build into the Dexani app to help users understand if something's being botted?
So I actually did want to dive down this a little bit into the social analysis piece of these things in order to analyze and be able to provide on the front end. There is some data out there that exists, and we have dove down how to do that on Twitter. And unless Papa Elon's going to give me a non-rate limited API for Twitter, which I don't think he will, I'll shoot him a DM though. We'll see. It's not easy because it's time consuming. You can look at that botometer that University of Indiana made, and like just for me to run through, a few hundred of my followers, right? When I was testing that thing out, took like 20 minutes. Right, like maybe it was 1,000, right? But it's not fast, so it's not able to do it in real time.
So what I mean is, it's kind of pivoting the topic to more of the bots that are buying and selling tokens, buying and selling NFTs, buying and selling stuff outside of crypto.
The ones that are operating on chain. So,
correct.
So we did build out a data model for this, actually, based on our own research that we had been doing and using to identify these bots, right? So we have some of the data models necessary for that. It's just going to be implementing them and being able to rate them effectively. So the sad part is basically what we end up having to do is use bots ourselves, like to figure this out.
Like my thought is, the platform itself, the Dexani app, is trying to do as much as it can to provide a safety net for users, give them as much information as possible. And one of the things out there that I've personally seen is whether it's malicious by a founder or not, but projects getting botted, and solely to make the chart more appealing, to get regular retail investors to buy in, for that chart to later just be dumped on top of them. And is there a way to identify those particular wallets and flag them within a security check, or is it too challenging because the technology's evolved too much?
So you can't identify it 100%. You can identify within a reasonable amount of doubt. And that can become an issue. There's also the whole new fresh wallets thing, right? Which will probably be one of the next things that we implement really quickly, right? It's just, hey, was this a fresh wallet that bought into this thing? Was this a clean wallet? Does it have no history? Because that isn't 100% indicative, but if it's a fresh wallet that buys in at a launch, it's either some sort of bot or somebody that is covering, it's usually, or somebody that's covering tracks, or doesn't want it to be associated with a different wallet that they have, right? Which may or may not be malicious. Everybody that's been in this space for the last year, 2 years, knows that to drive hype and adoption of whatever it is, you've got to have an appealing incentive. And if your entire appealing incentive, because you don't have any other value proposition, because maybe you're in bootstrap phase, or you just haven't gotten whatever it is that you're providing out to your community, is your chart. And if that's your sole goal, right, which, look, everybody in here understands it, right? We've all been through it. We've all heavily, if you're on my team, have seen this. What it's like to deal with the pressures of your community when you have not a great looking chart. We have seen what happens, and we know that reality. And so it's really easy to give into that pressure. Really, really easy. Because it hurts. It's painful. And if you're a doxed founder, it can even be downright scary. Right? There are people on this team that are listening in here that were in or on another project that had to deal with this, that had to deal with straight up death threats. Right? Like, I was an investor in that previous project, one of the largest ones, when it collapsed. And I knew one of the founders, one of the undoxed founders that was doxed when that happened. And his grandmother got a phone call. You know how scary that is? So, there's a lot of like weird things that happen in this space, right? A lot of people that get accused of doing things that they didn't do. A lot of people not accused of doing things that they definitely did do. Right? Like, this goes both ways. Like let's not get this twisted that like that everyone's a saint or everyone's a malicious actor, right? There's two sides to every story. And some people say there's three sides, but whatever. So we can identify within a level of reason, these wallets. But there are reasons to make your chart, to bot your own chart and make it appealing. There's no reason for you to dump on your own retail investors, right? Like, that's just terrible. But it was common practice back in the day to set up a whitelist for a token, get influencers or friends in on that whitelist, only have the whitelist open for 5 minutes. Those influencers and people would, as that token was launching, would buy in onto that whitelist. The chart would go up, and then they would pump it to their people. Sometimes they would dump, sometimes they wouldn't, right? And there are respectful ways to do this, and that was how those influencers got paid. Right? Was by doing this, like this. Sometimes it was malicious. Sometimes it was that's how they got paid. Right? Is what it is. And that happened. I know that happened. I know for a fact that happened. This is not speculation. This is, I know that this happened, and this is how it happened. And I can actually go and identify past projects where that happened, right? But from the non-malicious aspect, you had to have a good-looking chart, or people weren't going to buy in. And then people were going to become part of your community. People would use a utility or whatever it was that you had built or were going to build or planned to build if you didn't have that. And if your community got toxic, well, it was really easy just to pack up and go leave. It's like, well, the community's toxic, they hate me, and I'm not doing anything else. But, I mean, we've seen that you can overcome a toxic community. Right? And I've never understood the whole toxic community thing. Never. Right? It's like, look, when you get toxic like that, all you're doing, if you're invested in this thing, is like making your own investment worse. I mean, that's what's happening. So it never really made sense to me why people would get like that. But when FUD hits, it hits hard. We know that. So it drove founders to do things that were questionable. Like we were talking about with the scanner security report earlier, anything can be used or done maliciously in this space. And it happens. It really does. It happens all the time. But a lot of malicious stuff can also be used for good. And most of it actually generally started out being done for good, and then someone figured out that they could do it maliciously and use retail consumers for exit liquidity. And what really sucks the most about that, right, from me as a human whose job and goal and who really wants to drive adoption of this and to get that there, is that you have entire amounts of money that leaves the ecosystem that's not being used within the ecosystem. And that's shitty. That's really shitty. It's terrible. Like, really terrible. Because you need money in the system to change a system that is based on financial incentives or that is based on financial movements. And so when fiat money, or when money is converted out to fiat, you're removing it from that internal system. Now, if you're buying goods and services with it, it stays in the system. Right? I do my best to pay for everything that I can with crypto, whether that's a stable coin or whatever, so that it stays within the ecosystem. I'm a crypto maxi. I think it's going to change the world. Well, it already has, and we know it will. We've got governments talking about it, CBDCs and everything else that are coming along. But yes, to go back to the question, we have built out data models and data points that can be identified. Some that I personally would rate at like a 99% level of like, this is some sort of automated trading or bot system that's being used. And that's the other thing to remember, right? Like, bots can be used for just automated trading, right? Like, we use this word as a bad thing, right? But it can be used just to automate your trades. It doesn't have to be this crazy negative thing. And the reality is that in the future, we'll probably all be using bots. We'll all be using automated trading systems. That's the goal, to get everybody on more level playing fields. But I don't think that people understand, and people are very, very short-sighted about all of this. So, oh my goodness. Breaking news. Silvergate faces Department of Justice fraud investigation over FTX and Alameda dealings. Oh my goodness.
Can you pin it?
Let me find it. It just popped across two of my chats.
Ruh-roh.
Jeez.
I feel like this is going to be another situation, though, like what we just saw, huh? No? With the secondary sale?
No.
Was
Okay, so for those who don't know what Silvergate is, Silvergate is a bank.
the back, that was the one that backed it, right?
Yeah. They do a lot of the onboarding,
Oh.
offboarding stuff. Oh man, I even have to send out some messages to some friends. We actually within the company have a couple of people that are close friends of ours, company wise, that know an executive or two over at Silvergate. Oh man, interesting. Let me see if I can't find this article. I want to read some more about it. This is pretty wild, though. Silvergate faces U.S. fraud probes from Bloomberg over FTX and Alameda dealings. Silvergate shares are down 20%. So Bloomberg just posted this an update at 2:03. The original was at 1:46 my time. So this is the last 20, 30 minutes. So we need to change our little top number up here. Thing. Woo-wee! Silvergate faces DOJ fraud investigation. Okay, got the top change. It's examining Silvergate's hosting of accounts tied to Sam Bankman-Fried's business. Okay, so Silvergate was, if those don't know, SBF ran FTX. FTX collapsed because of unscrupulous dealings, and we don't have to dive deep into that whole piece. If you're in crypto, you know what happened there. But they also hosted accounts tied to SBF businesses. It's a very, very crypto-friendly bank. They do a ton of banking across the industry for on and off crypto. Wow. They were also hit hugely when this whole thing happened. If anyone else in here or if you're just joining or coming in, this is kind of massive. If you've got anything about this that you know, you want to come up and chat, feel free to come on up. And you've got any insights on this, just hit that little request button at the bottom. So they lost $1 billion last quarter. They had to fire 40% of their staff, for those that don't know. Just to set the context there. Wow. Now, I don't know what the fraud issue here is. Improperly diverting billions of dollars of assets belonging to the exchange's customers over to Alameda. For those who don't know, Alameda was a person or the company that SBF started that ran market making and some other things. Maybe they did some investments as well. Dumped on retail a lot, or at least were accused of. So, oh man, annual exams. So, anyways, SBF was charged. He was pleading not guilty, right? Improperly diverting billions of dollars of assets belonging to the exchanges to Alameda. So we know that happened. But
did you see they banned him from contacting any FTX employees yesterday?
Oh my God, I did not see that. I honestly have paid less attention.
He's been reaching out. Yeah, I was just reading about it.
So
dude doesn't stop.
This is kind of crazy because Silvergate was, or man, probably maybe still is, like the go-to bank for crypto companies, right? They've been providing services to crypto companies for years, and they built a ton of the rails that did the real-time onboarding and offboarding of fiat to crypto. So this is a big deal because, for those who don't know, when you start a company and you get some infrastructure built in that's related to another company or built on top of it, you rarely change. It's a really big deal and a pain in the butt to go and change your infrastructure. You know, wow. So this could, I mean, this is another domino ripple off of FTX. This could cause like some really interesting things. Because, and okay, so what it looks like it's happened on Monday, a group of senators, bipartisan, so we're talking conservatives, liberals, Democrats, whatever you want to say, both sides of the aisle, they sent a letter to FTX or to Silvergate asking what it knew about FTX's alleged misuse of customer funds. Because they didn't like the previous answers they got. They called the answers evasive and incomplete. This is kind of crazy. I wonder what the fraud piece here is. It's a way of FTX to work around banks' reluctance to host crypto-tied assets. I need my dad in here. He knows about fraud. My dad was a fraud investigator for a while, for those who don't know, and kind of knows quite a bit about. He did like savings and loan fraud investigation, like back in the 90s, right? This might be a lot of his thing, but like I wonder what the fraud piece that they're trying to push on here is. The lender is defending against a potential class action alleging securities fraud by investors, who claim the bank hasn't been forthcoming about its financial control, citing the FTX collapse. So I wonder here if what they're asking is, did Silvergate know that FTX was moving money to Alameda? So this is one of the glorious and most beautiful things about the blockchain, right? And its transparency is it's pseudo-anonymous, right? So those 42 character addresses that everyone's got if you're on an EVM chain start with 0x, nobody knows the human that's behind that unless it's disclosed, right? So go.
So, Aaron, could you even argue though with that I mean, anyone can name anything though in an Ethereum address. You know what I mean? I know you could backtrack it to see if it's involved with any contracts or anything like that, but could they even prove ownership at this point just because someone names an Ethereum address something?
Well, so they can name an Ethereum address, right? But Alameda or FTX can come out and say these are our addresses, right? Like they can identify them. So that's what we're actually seeing a lot across the industry on the centralized exchanges, is the centralized exchanges are identifying their addresses. But this would tell us, right? We would be able to see those transfers and those movements of funds and that movement of money from one side to the other, right there. So what I'm wondering is the fraud here that they're saying is that they knew that FTX was transferring money to Alameda, like US dollars, right? Because we can't see that from the retail side. We can't see this piece. It's really, really hard. You have to have access to that back-end banking system. And so I wonder if that's what the fraud piece is. This is big, guys. Like,
I mean, because that's been the biggest kind of red flag I would say that I've seen. Would you agree the amount of currency exchange between Alameda and FTX when they were clearly one and the other, no matter what they want to try to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's wild. So FTX Alameda were two entities that were supposed to be separate, and they were separate by about 3 feet. And I mean that as in, like, Alameda worked on one side of the office and FTX was quote unquote on the other side. Obviously run and owned by the same human. So separate but equal? No. So there was an intermingling of funds is what they were doing. And anybody that's done any trading or has been in any sort of financial world knows that that's a really big no-no. Real big no-no. Like, you just can't do that. It's just not an okay thing. Uh-oh.
We lost you for half a second,
okay.
Matt.
All right. Yeah, dude.
You're back.
Phone call. See, again, Twitter, like, whenever you're talking and I get a phone call, like, it goes off. Like, give me this on my computer or on my iPad, please.
Just let me do it on my computer, please. I'm literally sitting here right now at my desk with my phone set up in front of me on my phone.
Exactly. I'm sitting here. I've got a better microphone. Like, come on, everything is just better. But anyways, they were supposed to be separate. They commingled funds. That's a big no-no. In the traditional finance world, it's like an absolute no-go. So I am wondering. I'm wondering if the question is was this intermingling of funds happening more than on chain, but was also happening within bank accounts? So, because, like, here's the thing, right? Like, so all these regulations are really, really, really hard to understand, right? Like, they're not written at a simple level, and there's a lot of ways to get tripped up. Right? And so anytime one of these investigations starts, they don't just look into the one thing, right? They're looking at your books. They're looking at everything. So who knows what else they find? But 20% drop in stock. Oh my goodness. That's wild. Completely got rid of their 29% gain. Gone. We will need to keep an eye on this and see
Aaron,
this is scary.
we lost you for a second.
Sorry. Yeah, this is scary. Just because of how much Silvergate is intermingled into the overall web of things that go on. It's like, it's very, very wild. Yeah. If anybody's in the audience and, like, they've got any insight into this, and what it could possibly be attributed to, or what the long-term potential issues of this are, please just hit that mic. I know this is a really complicated one, so I know a lot of people probably don't have that insight because it's kind of a big deal. So really wild. We're going to keep an eye on it and see where this leads down. Anybody who's watched investigations though knows that this thing's going to be ongoing forever. And if there's any charges brought, that's going to take even longer. It is a bank, though, and that's slightly different. And so it would probably more than likely end up in a fine or potentially let's see, potentially large fines or loss of like licensure, which loss of licensure would cause this issue. But again, I don't actually know what the licenses are required for a bank that does fiat on and off boarding is for crypto. Like, or even, is there really one? I don't know. But anyways, haven't got any questions or comments before I close down the space? We're approaching 90 minutes.
Just like I always say, it always blows my mind. How they're going to come up with the laws for stuff like this, Aaron, because they don't identify it as a currency.
Well,
so like it's just like
I mean, in this instance, right? We're talking about regulatory standards for onboarding and offboarding fiat on off, right?
Yeah.
It's the buying and selling of a digital asset, right? Like, so I'm sure there's some sort of regulatory thing here that actually might, current standards might actually apply for that.
Start to set the ground rules.
Yeah, there's probably some stuff there that actually has some history that probably could come over here. So, I don't know. I'd be very curious to see it and see what comes from it. Oh man. Ooh, and I'm getting some more breaking news on my side. Okay, this one isn't breaking per se. Sorry. But in January 6th, in that week, Silvergate had $8 billion in crypto withdrawn from their bank, which is wild. Interesting fact about Silvergate, though, before we do close this up, and maybe we want to talk about this just a little bit. Last year and last January, Silvergate spent $182 million and bought Diem, what was formerly Libra, stablecoin, and the technology behind that. And it still hasn't seen light of day to this day, right? So, and I don't know if that's a thing that they want to push out or we're talking to push out. But it's going to be really curious to see where this goes. Really, really curious. Look, we need some sort of regulation on the traditional side. We have to. So we know it's going to come. It's important. It's good. We have had too many retail consumers getting taken advantage of. And we can't have that on that side. And on the decentralized side, you can't really put regulations or build them on chain. That's why we're doing what we're doing, right? Is to hopefully start a trend across the industry of building and creating these consumer protections built in. Because from a technical standpoint, we just can't put those on chain naturally, right? So we have to create actionable data that consumers can use to act on in order to, essentially be protected. So that's our goals. We'll be doing that. If you haven't checked out the app, go check it out. Throw us some feedback, right? app.dexani.io. If you love it, throw us some feedback. If you hate it, I want to hear about that even more. Tell me why it's terrible. What do you hate? Are the colors bad? Do you not like the colors? Are the buttons in the wrong place? Is it too hard to move around? Would you like to see something that you can't see? Would you like some data that you don't have? Just let us know. And we do operate and move pretty quick. And we'll probably start potentially in our change logs adding a little name next to whoever puts in the feedback, and whoever tells us, the thing that we add. So let us know. I love you guys. I am so thankful for all of you. I appreciate everyone on this space. Thank you all for coming back. I love seeing familiar faces, even those from the Solana side. I love you guys. To stay safe, stay strong, and we will see you next week. Good night. I don't always say good night anymore. All right. Good night.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Have a good one, guys.
Hey, have a good one. Take care.